So, hello and greetings. I believe we are live, and welcome to 2022 and Monday on Astral Oracles, a live stream with Archangel Michael. And I'm looking forward to this. And I also need to and want to thank all the patrons who support this. And if you want to get on the Zoom calls, you can join up on Patreon on different tiers and get the links over there. But it's also lovely to see that some of you are joining us on YouTube. So I'm looking forward to spending a night with you and the angels. And then I just want to thank you for being here and wish you a good one. And of course, let me know if there's any technical issues. And other than that, I'll kick the ball over to Archangel Michael, and I'll also extend a special thanks to Sailesh for moderating today. Greetings and blessings, love from on high, down to these realms where things happen at a pace that you do not determine yourself. I am the Archangel Michael, and I enter this space of time with compassion to join you and speak of the challenges and the energies that you may be facing at this moment. And so I have entitled this transmission, Economy of the Soul. You may know that, well, this word is a composite word, but it actually refers in its original meaning to the law of the household. That is, this ordering of your own personal reality, the immediate reality, the economy, because whether or not you are dealing with the economy of a household or of a nation state or of your own spiritual well-being, what is essential here is that you make choices and priorities. And so the energies, as most of you have been experiencing them, have been of the quality of withdrawal. That is, there is a immersion into inner issues. You may sense that things from the past, things that you had forgotten, are entering into your experience, and here they wish to be felt. That is what is taking place is, or what corresponds to this on an energetic or physiological level, is the opening of your heart space. And when we say heart space, we truly mean space. We speak of spaciousness. This is the spaciousness of your household, of your spiritual well-being, of the temple of your mind, body, soul. And here you will have to prioritize, much as when you choose what goes into a household and what can be spared and what needs to be discarded and thrown away. You aim for a certain degree of spaciousness. You want to feel comfortable in your home. And this also requires that there are certain things that you clear out and certain things that you allow for room around, so they can actually, well, be used and not just simply function as clutter in your space. So much clutter is turning up in your inner experience, has been turning up through these years. And now you are at this new vantage point where manifestation is far quicker. You may have noticed that things you are thinking about are coming to fruition. And so what you want to do is economize. You want to deselect or spare yourself from engaging with many issues that have been bothering you. This does not mean to dramatically throw them away necessarily, but it does mean to not pay the attention to them and have confidence that these things, they are less important to you for a reason. And so you may find yourself, if you undertake this process consciously, that you are now left with 5 or 10 priorities, something within your career, your personal life, your romantic being, your physical well-being, your spiritual life. These may be all sectors where you are solely then focusing on one thing within each of them. And this may serve you greatly in this month to come. I, the Archangel Michael, I bring you the blessings from on high. I remind you of the divine unity that resides in all existence, that we are a part of the same divine process unfolding and recognizing itself as such. Much love to you, blessings, and my gratitude for what is about to take place.
Thank you, Archangel Michael. Beautiful message. Thank you.
Thank you, Sailesh.
There's a question here in the chat room. It's by Carla. It says, I live surrounded by towering and majestic Douglas firs. Also mixed in are some other trees such as maples and alders. Is there much of a difference in the vibrations of evergreen versus the deciduous trees? Is there a seasonal difference? And how far does the knowledge vibration of a tree extend through the roots?
This is a very beautiful question. See, where we are beginning is truly underground here. We are finding the foundation. We are moving into the roots of being. Thank you for selecting this question as the first one for me to answer. I can first off inform you that the roots extend through the general ecosystem. That is, you will find that it extends through the belt of the landmass that it is connected through. That is where you reside, for instance. It stretches across the entire temperate body of the North American continent. But when it switches to a markedly different ecosystem, approaching certain deserts or wetlands or other barren areas, well, this general network or shared communal consciousness of the root system begins to recede. And therefore, you may also sense that there is a very distinct energy in the different forests of different distinct climate zones. Well, the roots of an individual tree, it depends on the tree, it depends on its development, and it also depends on the species. But in general, you can say that, as it also goes for the human body in many ways, the physical root of the tree extends approximately to the same length, or, well, that is often a little wider in width and a little shorter in depth, but to the same extent that it does above ground. And so it is a balanced structure, even though you only discern the upper part. But then the energetic part of the tree extends approximately 3 times as far out as the physical body. And this also goes for the energetic body of humans, which extends approximately with the ratio of pi to the physical body outside of your field. And here, this is the field of the unique tree that you enter into. And if you wish to move into its healing capabilities, then this is the place where you need to situate yourself physically. Then we can say for different species of trees that there are, of course, distinct energies to these markedly different seasonal trees and the evergreen trees. But in general, the evergreen trees have a more, let's say, static energy. That is, they fluctuate less, and therefore they have less vitality in the period of growth, but they also, of course, hold more vitality in winter. This is why you find that they are good to seek out in the winter seasons, while in the summer you may clearly prefer And we believe the term is deciduous trees, though our translator here is a little in doubt. But these trees that also carry leaves in the summertime, they are sprouting with vitality. And so the seasonal spirits, the spirits that really stir you when you live in the temperate belts of the planet, for instance, they are to be sought out more in the deciduous areas. So in summer, seek out these types of ecosystems, and in winter, seek out the others, unless, of course, you are looking for a level of, let's say, quietude, or to lessen your experience and intake of vital force from the trees. These are some perspectives. Then there are, of course, much as with crystals and other phenomenon, much as with species of animals, different vibrational spectrums to specific species of trees. But that is an issue for another day. Blessings to you for these questions. Our love to all of you.
Thank you very much indeed. Okay, it's Kevin asks, I have a strong inclination to cleanse, especially through steam rooms and saunas. I then combine the sweating with swimming and other movements within water. Could you go into more detail of why I am feeling the need to do this? And also, would it be beneficial to add a third contrast by stepping out in the cold, brisk air?
Yes. Well, what you are trying to do is you are trying to soften your organism. Tension is, by definition, often unconscious if it is not action. That is, well, you tense your muscles to perform certain actions, and that's all well and good. But, well, the chronic tensions in your body are all the tensions that you do not need in a specific situation, but that are still playing out. And a lot of you have to deal with it. That is, most of you deal with this intuitively because it actually evades your conscious attention. And so what you are seeking is this therapeutic softening of your, what's sometimes known as the pain body or the body armor, this tense structure, which is also the material or physical component of the ego. And so when you are seeking, and this goes for all of you, not only you, our friend Kevin, when you are seeking back into the water, feeling this call, it's often because you are looking to activate the more primordial structure within your emotional body. So what you may also notice, that is, apart from the therapeutic effects of being in water, that is the physical therapy and the strengthening and relaxation and stabilizing of muscles, but that is also that you gain a more of an identification with your sense body, your sense of hot and cold, of perceiving physical sensation, of touch, for instance. And here, as you may also know from chemistry, for instance, the easiest way to make a material brittle and dissolve it is to freeze and heat it, freeze and heat it. And so this is the same thing that you are approaching. And yes, indeed, by moving into this third component of activating your body or the tense structure through cold, it will become more conscious because it provokes this hypertension of the tense structures that are left. And then moving into the heat, they will then have an extra opportunity to dissolve. So this is, for instance, something that you will find that people, such as notoriously, for instance, the Finnish and the Russians and their sauna culture, that they enjoy undertaking because they live in climates, environments that very much stimulate the tense structure of personality. That is, in freezing cold, you simply tense up. And therefore, this sauna is a very helpful antidote to that process. And swimming is always healthy, helpful, and healing. Blessings to you, dear one, and to all of you. Enjoy the waters.
Yes, and Kevin also asks, could you give me a personal message that would benefit me in my current now and also benefit That's all, I'm afraid.
Yes. And we can say, start picking your nose. And well, what we are pointing to here is not necessarily that you should engage more with your boogers. It's the idea that, well, this distracted engagement with yourself, it's something that you're also taught when you're children to, well, to not daydream too much, or to not squander your time away. And you may actually want to move into this space of, just slacking a little, just taking the time to look back. And well, what you often will notice, for instance, if you catch someone picking their nose, is that they also find themselves in a very comfortable place where they are sort of engaging with an immediate reality, a slight pleasure of grooming themselves. And this is a very basic animal instinct. So the more you can relate to, let's say, your animal self, that is the part of you that's a physical being that's just hanging around this planet because it's a biological process that's going on, the more relaxed you'll feel and the more space you'll create for the things that you have already manifested that are in your vortex, borrowing a term from another entity, and that's already looking to manifest in your life. So enjoy that.
Thank you very much indeed. Okay, Steve, you're in next.
Greetings, Michael.
Greetings, Steve. It's a pleasure to be with you this day. Our love to you.
Thank you for being here in the love and light of the one infinite creator for the highest and greatest good of all. I have been doing my best to breathe through tension in my body, staying away from fear, dealing with situations in my body. I just wondered if there's any new guidance or suggestions you can give me on staying grounded, staying positive, centered in the moment, and connecting more with my earthly existence and earthly family.
Yes. Look to the mountain. And what I mean by that is the mountain is the structure that plants its roots deep down in the continental core. And by doing this, it stretches to heaven. So the mountain is also this massive block that can absorb all these energies. And so you may want to look for this type of ballast, almost feeling like there are weights, stones tied to your ankles that are acting as an anchor for you as you are also growing towards the heavens. So it's this dual emotion. If you can imagine yourself as living rock, that you sprout roots and then you grow upwards at the same time, because we do sense this great electricity in your being, and we sense the presence of the Father deity Zeus very alive in your energetic field. That is, we all almost sense this fierce grace of the heavens, these lightning bolts striking down in your nervous system. And we would like to commend you for the work you have been doing, because there's really a lot have been asked of you. And especially we sense these past 10, 11 weeks of energetic influx, of explosion, so to speak. And so you may want to look to this Father energy. Well, connect to his spirit in all these venues of exploration, in your earth family, in your spiritual life, in striving towards the stars, and also in your vision of yourself as an empowered being, because this is truly what is reaching you. And you may sense that this energy will not settle in you completely until it has also connected to more of this earthly power. And here you may sense an image that sprouts or goes forward from Zeus. His earthly representative, so to speak, is also Herculean champion, Heracles, this champion that has to undertake a lot of works and, well, has committed a sin of killing his family and has become an outcast, but that redeems himself through also doing all these impossible challenges. And so what you have set out to do in this life is also to undertake these challenges. And you may want to try to write out your story, that is your ascent of the mountain, to grow these roots, that is, take note of the challenges you have been through, of the chapters that you have already faced and finished. And then you can perhaps also begin to discern what is the work, what is the trial that you are facing at this moment in your life.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Our gratitude for you being in this incarnation. Our love.
Much love.
Okay, thank you very much. There is a question from me. Are you able to expand or talk about the energies and the interactions between myself and my nephew Rishin?
Yes. Well, they have assumed more of the character of a partnership. This is, of course, an interesting dynamic in your relationship, seeing as you are, of course, the senior, and therefore there has, of course, always been a type of balance where you cared for him and offered him guidance, and he also took your directions and offered you a type of, we can say, validation of your ability to also guide someone in a very helpful and proper way in this lifetime. And so now what you have moved into is more of this exchange where he is to some extent also reminding you of the benefits that still come from being in this world, from exploring it, from engaging with it, where you are also, let's say, moving more into a sage-like position, a position where you have retreated somewhat with the world. That is, many of the battles that you fight throughout your lifetime, those you have already fought, and you are not as easily faced by, well, the ups and downs and surprises, the outrageous slings and arrows, or the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, as the expression goes. These are not things that really face you. And so you may sense that this exchange is actually quite helpful, because he is to some extent offering a type of grounding for you, and you are to some extent offering him a type of, we can say, othering, or ability to also move out and gain some perspective and clarity, which he often greatly needs, because he also lives at a pace that's quite engaged, and so is a little caught up or a little stressed sometimes, perhaps.
You hit the nail on the head over there. Yes, he lives 100 miles an hour. Yes. Yes. Okay. Thank you very much indeed. Okay. I have a question from YouTube. It's from Seraphim Susan. Any messages regarding my spiritual work and travels in the next couple of years? Plus, where am I at in my ascension process? Thank you.
Yes, we are sensing a wreath on your head, and this wreath has candles in it. And so what we are seeing here, it's a type of tradition that's connected to, we are getting the island of Crete. For some reason, there is a lifetime here that is active. Here we find ourselves approximately in the 800s. And so you are taking part in a procession, and you are finding that there is a beauty in you being in this procession. It is something that you have dreamed about all year before this, and now it's finally here. And this is the kind of magic that you want to rediscover. It's the joy of the parade. And so what is the parade? Well, it's an interesting archetype. It's an alteration or a variation of the pattern of the carnival or the Saturnalia. This kind of turning everything upside down, letting everything pour out of the closet. And it's where you actually want to move. You may want to, you can, for instance, observe how in your, well, homosexual activism that you have seen play out in the past decades, the theme of the parade has been one that has been activated because it's a place where you really let out your inner core. That is, you let out all these things that you may have felt was pent up or that you've had to control, and then they sort of sprout into an extremity, and that also offers you sort of the obligation of commit to them. So you really want to take some risks in where you are going, and you may want to also plan a visit to the island of Crete. That is, well, aim for going there in approximately a year. We sense February 2023 would be auspicious for you to undertake this journey. And where you are in your ascension, you are right where you need to be, our beloved. That is, you are in the discovery process, and the discovery process is a sweet place to be. And notice that this will also then, of course, turn into a process of revelation, because seek and ye shall find. Blessings and love to you, dear one.
Thank you very much, Michael. Next one is Yoann 196393600. Dear Michael, do you have any messages for me? Thank you.
It is wonderful that you are asking us these open-ended questions today, because what we are doing or how it is presenting itself to the vessel that's translating us is that he is served a type of vision of an object. And then this is unpacked within this interpretive framework that you call channeling. That is, what we are seeing is a tricycle for a child. We sense that here is an image of you pedaling this tricycle. It is in this lifetime. You are quite happy. You are missing your tricycle to some extent. That is, it's this element of happiness, this kind of silly giddiness that you will find in the child that's, well, pedaling like crazy. And if you remember how it is to ride a tricycle, they're also a little unmanageable. So they don't really get you where you need to go, but you're having fun in the process. And that's kind of the image that's opening up, and that's reaching out to you from your present day childhood to connect to you. So 2022 might be a year where, well, we sense that start playing with your toys, and of course choose adult toys. It's maybe a laser gun that makes annoying sounds, or teddy bears or something, that, or real tricycles. They're not really your thing anymore. They're likely not. But there are things that where you may have thought, well, I'd love to play around with that. That would be a fun thing just to experiment with, and do that in this year, because that's really the energy that will make you whole. And we bless you in this, and sense that there are many playful spirits in your field that are looking forward to assisting you in this unveiling of yourself to yourself. Much love.
Thank you very much indeed. I think there seems to be a similar vein in the questions this afternoon, morning, evening. The next one's from Chuck Miller. Can you let me know where I'm at in my ascension process and where I need some work to improve the ascension?
Yes. The theme is indeed discernible. So many of you are sensing that this need for self-location, as someone beautifully described what the tarot, for instance, was able to do for a person. And so what we sense, dear Chuck, that you may want to play around with is some of these systems, some of these more concrete things, tangible things that can give you a reading on where you are. And this may be the tarot, but you may also want to look into scrying. We sense that there is a discovery for you to be made here, that messages may come to you when you gaze into that looking glass. We sense for you a looking glass would be helpful. And so where you are is that there's a certain radiance that's trying to reach you. We sense this is an orb. It's a type of artifact, almost an object that's being extended from your energy body into your physical body. And your mind is struggling a little with where it positions itself when as this transaction is taking place, which is what many of you are experiencing in general right now. Where am I as I feel all these changes taking place? And here, just surrender to it. Really allow for this orb of energy to touch you and move into you, and know that this will imbue this exploration of scrying with certain possibilities, wonders, and revelations that will be very interesting for you to explore. So we bless you in this, and we thank you for letting in the light.
Thank you very much indeed. Okay, there's a question in the chat room here from Suzanne Matterson. Thank you, Archangel Michael. I have used your name and energy for healing others as well as myself. For example, I have cut old cords from myself using your sword. Where can we go next? Thank you and blessings.
Yes. See, this is a very interesting question, because this is one of the questions where we angels really have to change our perspective, our natural way of seeing things, into the human way of perceiving things, because you are always right here with us in this moment. And so the next is simply a consequence, or the next chapter in what a book that has already been written. So that is, if you allow yourself to turn the pages, put down the sword, and then discover the tome that's waiting for you within the astral. And often these tomes, these great sacred books that reveal the secrets of your soul, or the secrets that you are wanting to know, they are inscribed more in an emotional language, or in deep symbols, or in memories, or in sentiments that you can't quite put your finger on. But know that they are coming forward, because they are what is coming next. And so what I aim to communicate with this information, with this message, is that you are going there, dear one. You are already using this, you are already connecting to my energy, doing the work, healing, using the sword, exploring how well this severing force can actually be used for good, how sometimes an element of, if not violence, then destruction is, or demolition, we could call it, is necessary. And so what you do is that you grow your confidence in this ability, in these abilities that you have already discovered, and then you look for the sacred tome within the hyperspace. Go read in it and look for the other secret objects that are waiting there for you to discover and use in your work. Blessings to you, the gratitude of the heavens for walking that path, and our love.
Beautiful. Thank you. Okay, from the YouTube now. The next one is from Yana D. Okay. What is the best advice for me personally to enter a higher vibration? My gratitude and love.
Yes. we sense that that the amusement in the fact that everyone is searching for the same type of personal location this day. That is, you want to know where you are in order to know where you are going. That is the logic that we discern in this spatial reality that you find yourself in. And so what you do, dear Yana, is that you recognize how much your vibration has already shifted. So if you, for instance, look back at what was going on for you a year, 2 years, 3 years ago, you may sense that it will be hard to recognize some of the responses you had to some of the situations, because you have already moved into a place where you are perceiving these from a higher vibrational vantage point. And so just by recognizing this, you are, in a sense, if not heightening your vibration, you are stabilizing it at that higher level. And so other things you may want to do is, you may want to begin to vibrate. It's this image of you allowing a pulse to move through your body, this animating pulse, this subtle energy that grows greater and greater. And a way to cultivate it is by singing, by bringing forward the tones that you would like to vibrate with. And therefore, you may also sense, if you have ever been in choir practice or in any similar situation, that you are sort of buzzing after doing this, and you can do this consciously. So begin to vibrate, and do this by allowing yourself to also see yourself as a tone that has taken flesh, that has become a person, but that is in truth a high vibration, a very high harmonic pitch that's resounding in the ethers, that's going back and forth with a unique tone that creates the being of you. Blessings to you. Enjoy vibing with the heavens.
Okay, move on to the next one in YouTube. Strange Fruit. Loving greetings. What lesson might I learn during this season of my life, and how may I truly embody and live it for my highest good? Thank you.
Yes. In this season in your life, what you may want to do is to notice that you are in the gathering stage. That is, notice this pattern of, well, there is a stage of composition, or we can say childhood, and then you move into the world and you gather information, skill, possessions, relationships, all these things. And that is, we remind you that you are in this stage in your life, that you are still actually enjoying engaging with the world in this way, that there are things that you want to seek out, that you want to satisfy your curiosity. And by doing this, realize that the things that you are seeking will come to you. And so this is very general advice that we can offer to you personally, dear Strange Fruit, but we can also offer it to all of you. That is, so many of you that are seeking this definition this evening. Jot it down, chart down your plans, because we can already announce that the message that came to the translator as he was planning the next live stream from the entities called the Solons was, they were speaking to him about missions and this idea that you may sense that this mission, this type of process, this forceful karma that has been running through you, it's receding, it's losing its grip on you. And the natural consequence is then you go, now that I'm not so determined in all my reactions, and that I'm not essentially just a mechanical process of emotions and unconsciousness running through life reacting, but I'm actually waking up to myself and having to reconfigure my life. I'm really very confused. I'm confused in a better way than I were before, when I was dealing with all this unconscious stuff and all the problems and pains that arose from that. But now I'm in a place where I don't really know what to do. And the best you can do here is to allow, to accept, and to create space. Because know that this spaciousness of which we speak, this economy of the soul, where you prioritize what you want, what's important to you, what's calling you, this is moving into that spaciousness. And this is the language of the soul. And so you may, for instance, notice that books you've been called to read, or music you've been called to listen to, or certain content or channel messages, or something that speaks to you at this moment, if it speaks to you, it's because that's carrying a message to the forefront of your consciousness. So your excitement has in some sense carried you to this message. And the message that we are giving you is that your excitement really needs to grow. And we sense for you to be of service is also to allow, we are now addressing strange fruit personally, and the rest of you more generally, but for you to be of service is also to allow your excitement to grow. There are so many things that you would enjoy doing still. Go out and do them and have fun while you do them. Blessings and love.
Okay, beautiful. Thank you. Okay, the next one. Well, I thank in advance to the person sending me how to pronounce their name, and forgive me if I butcher it. It's Shin Shui Lan. Says, question, help on integrating aspects of me and still allowing myself to move forward without ignoring them, but truly understanding that I am the one to choose. I guess I'm on the right track.
Yes. Well, it is not often that it, as clearly as in this case, can be said that the question truly holds the answer. That is, you ask us if you are on the right track, and you are. In that sense, of course, from our perspective, there really is no getting lost. There's only exploring certain paths that don't necessarily lead you to where you would like to go in the end, but there was also meaning down that path. But where you are at this point, or how you want to integrate rather than endure, it's a good description of the situation. Another way of describing it would say that you would like to move from survival or surviving to thriving. That is, you would like to be in a place where you don't feel hounded by certain negative experiences or parts of you. And the way you do this is actually to endure them for a little while longer. So if we were to use the physical example, as we were answering Kevin around the issue of saunas, it's this idea of really allowing the tension to be there. Because what often happens, and all of you know this pattern, and it's very natural, it is that the pure intensity of reality, the light of pure unadulterated existence, is too much for a personality or ego structure to handle. And so you shy away from it. And what you then shy away from is also all these manifestations, that is, the negative things, the blocks that this energy is pushing up against, because it's truly the divine light that's pushing these negative feelings into your experience in order for you to perceive them. And the more that you can then align with, well, an energy of the sun or an infinite great light source power center residing in your emotional center, physical center, the heart, there you may sense that all these emotions can be absorbed and be integrated because you are already whole within that space. And it's only these unwanted parts of you are only, we can say, separations, blocks, walls, impediments, that when the light is allowed to shine upon them, actually crumble and move away. And then the light moves into the totality of your being. This is something that you can work on. And you also do this by, we sense, well, being a little contemplative. And it's again this economic pattern. So we're sensing in your life, it would actually be something like taking your time to place a candle in front of you and then sit with that flame and allow for that flame to just illuminate the dark space around you and be there for a little while, 10, 20 minutes, for instance, perhaps closing your eyes and just feeling that pulse of the light. That is a good way to move into the allowance of the totality of your beautiful self. Love to you.
Thank you very much. It's okay. Arson, go for it.
Hello. It's really nice to be here with you today.
It is wonderful to be here with you too, Arson. Blessings to you.
Thank you. So my question also connects a little bit to the previous one. I've been dealing with quite a bit of crumbling myself internally, and it's been hard. Like I got the idea that I should go out and get more comfortable with these feelings, but that was just too unbearable. So I just retreated back home, and now that's really unbearable too. It's just the pain keeps on coming no matter what I do. I guess I would like some optimism, just get like a time frame of how long this is going to continue, and more tips on how I could better, I guess, just adapt to it, because I feel like it's not reducing significantly, at least yet. Thank you.
Thank you also for your honesty and willingness to deal with this. We can remind you, and here we are relating this also to the messages that we have been giving this night, that, well, there is a difference between conscious and unconscious pain. And what you are feeling is the growing consciousness of pain. You may notice actually that consciousness often arises in early childhood from this experience of separation, that you are somehow locked into your body, that you are locked into your feelings, that they cannot be totally relieved by outside sources. And we can say what you are experiencing is a more mature stage of this same realization, that no matter where you go, the emotional realities that define you, they follow you around. And here we can assure you that the pain is not long-lived. That is, we do not sense that it will be able to sustain itself more than 6 weeks. That will change into something different. So we are getting mid-February as a definite shift within this process. But we also sense that this is, of course, a long time when you are feeling that you are in pain. But the pain that you are dealing with, what will be helpful for you is to approach it tantrically. And so what is the approach of Tantra? The approach of Tantra is to see everything as Shakti, that is pure unmanifest energy. And so all these pains, blocks, impediments, unwanted feelings, tensions, this is extreme force that's welling up within you. And so many of you are dealing with this now. It has been quite interesting also reading the energies of individuals, because we have sensed that so many of you have this effect of shock, almost like the lightning bolt striking down into your nervous system and now pushing up all these things and harrowing you, driving you to one action, driving you out, and then realizing when you are out that you actually need the focus, and then when you are home then it's too painful to focus on. So, but what you can do is that you can realize that this is a very intense energy, more than it's necessarily a pain, and this energy is producing painful interpretations of itself within you, because it's offering you the opportunity to release, to acknowledge, to see all this for what it really is. And there will come a point you can actually play around with this, of removing the pain and then placing it within you. And maybe even if you have a wood nearby, you can go and place it beneath a rock there. You can also put it in a drawer, but then it will still be in your home. That's not as helpful. But actually placing it in some place where it's buried, so to speak, this is a way that you can help to shed that light. And then connecting to the energy of the forest, or we can say this more vegetative energy, something that just is and is growing. And well, the thing about trees is that if they meet an obstacle, they just start growing in another direction. And this is also a metaphor that you may take to heart. So take heed of the changes taking place, because they are heralding an awakening within you that cannot be turned back, but that is offering, or that is requiring, your attention.
Thank you. That does help lift my spirits quite a bit as well, and just helps get a better understanding of that. Looking forward to life in 6 weeks. Thank you.
Our love and support.
Thank you, Archangel Michael and Ashen. Okay, next one we have Devontae 444. And the question is, with so much awakening within me, are there any messages or guidance for today? Love and blessing.
Yes. We sense that your ears are growing. That is the image that's coming forward. It's the myth of King Midas, and it's not the very known one where he turns everything he touches to gold. It's the other one where we believe he encounters Pan on a walk one day, and then he sprouts these ears of a donkey, and it's to teach him a lesson. But what it's also expressing is that, well, you may want to move into the demonic is a very poor word for it, but it's more of the natural, the goat spirit, the sort of also mocking jest of experience. It's something that you would, and we are sorry, and we know there might be a strange contrast in an angel presenting this image, but you will find it, for instance, in the gesture of mooning. That is, human beings are so covered up that you also, when you really want to remind people of sort of your crude, crass attitude or perception of them, you expose your buttocks or you extend your tongue out of your mouth. These sort of spaces that are covered up, those are things that you may want to move into. That is, get a little more embodied, and in a slightly silly way. So we are also sensing that you may benefit from, we are not telling you to necessarily go out and moon somebody, but you may benefit from having this more playful relationship to your body at the moment. And so we are also sensing that, for instance, walking on stilts or similar activities may be something that you want to explore. And this is also to balance out these awakening energies with, well, we can say fun.
Thank you very much. Next one, it's Angel Wings. Hey, you Archangel Michael. I feel your connection with me all the time, as with all the angels. Do you got any advice for me on our angel path of awakening in others and other starseed angels?
Well, stick to the course. That is essentially that these things are very much mapped out from our perspective. There is a clear battle plan to stick to this combative imagery. We know exactly how to awaken humanity, and we have been pushing you there for eons, centuries, and we are very happy to be able to address you in this era where our energies are also coming through in more safe spaces where humans can allow for, let's say, a more smooth and perhaps even relaxed, peaceful, maybe even complacent receptivity towards these higher energies. So in the great cataclysm to come, there is also the perspective that, well, imagine yourself lounging through the apocalypse. We are playing around with your perceptions here, but that is in these stressful times where you're also all feeling a little out of sorts and discovering your purpose and your paths. Also notice that there is no hurry in this, that things are in place, and the rush that you feel is natural because you feel that there is a crisis of existence that you are also awakening to. But these things are in perfect timing. And so allow yourself to go forward in this perfectly timed connection, discovering the mystery as you progress into it.
Beautiful. Okay, next one is from Crystal Be Dawned. Any recommendations on how to keep myself focused and busy so that I may work to cut out habits that I have had for a long time? Any advice? Thank you. Love you big.
Yes. Love received and reflected back. We thank you for that. And we want to remind you that these acts of engagement, when you become absorbed in something that interests you, it is a type of love for reality that you are experiencing. And notice this state of love that you strive for, because it's a wonderful high vibration to reside in. It's something that feels good. When you experience it, you are really, we can say, the critical part of you that has been longing for it actually recedes. And so the way you are experiencing love is by being in it. And that is something that you can notice, that there are actually spaces, especially, for instance, in your relationship to animals, where you are feeling this type of very healthy connection, this engagement in life that doesn't require anything else, this fulfilled state of love. And so if you discern that this is present here in your life, you can also begin to look for it in other places. Then, dear one, we say this with love in our hearts. You may want to turn your OCD, we don't necessarily mean this as something pathological, but your tendencies for a certain type of obsessiveness or animation with certain themes, turn this into something positive. So recognize, for instance, that it would be good for you to find hyperactive ways of calming your nervous system. You may want to get into jogging or similar exercises, something that keeps you very active. You may also move into types of meditation or contemplation practices where you recite mantras, maybe even aloud, and where you engage with a mala or rosary, a similar set of ways of engaging yourself physically with this process, because it's very much this focus that you are wanting to cultivate. And you may find yourself then going quite overboard with this meditation practice that is also moving around and reciting mantras whenever your thoughts get too much of a hold of you. But this is very positive for you, because you are also the type of person who sort of enjoys these slightly amplified states. And it's simply to replace, let's say, one unhelpfully amplified state with one that is a helpful amplifier. And blessings to you in this, dear one.
I thank you. Okay, the next one, okay. Yes, they want me to pronounce something that's unpronounceable. Okay, it says Shyam at the end. Greetings, Mads and A.A. Michael. Happy to be here. I would love to know if there are any messages from my soul that I need to hear at this time. Thanks.
Yes. It's offering you a chain of light. That is what it wants you to do, is to wrap yourself more in this shielding light. You may feel that your energy body has been a little penetrable, is the image that's coming forward, slightly vulnerable or exposed. And so you may really want to look for practices that shield you in some sense. We do not mean to give you the impression that you are in danger, not at all, but it is simply that, well, your energy is looking to reconstitute itself within your body. And so take to eating greens, heavy foods, beans, for instance, gourd-like objects, squash and pumpkins. These things may be something that you will want to do, and then call in the light, call in my energy, or call in other light sources that you align with, and then allow for this chain to wrap itself around your energy body. And there is a type of shielding light, the angelic and the serpentine merging around your energy body, and they're encasing and shielding you while you regrow and refine your footing. This is the message that is being conveyed, and our love to you in this endeavor.
Thank you very much indeed. Okay, next one is from our old friend Veritas. Greetings, Archangel Michael. You are the guardian of the Catholic religion, but religion is used as a medium for war and destruction here. Can you please clarify this confusing information?
Well, yes, I'm very happy to do so. See, I am a type of champion energy of the higher divine realms, and so I offer my protection to anyone who may need to be shielded from outwards and aggressive forces. And so also notice that many of these institutions, religions, churches, even though they have negative effects, we are, again speaking of this battle plan of the heavens, also able to utilize things that have a very broad spectrum of effects that is negatives for something positive in the general trajectory. So for instance, you may have noticed that this church was also something that cultivated certain ideas about diplomatic exchange, about, well, adherence to principles, to things that were above the law of the sword and that belong to the spiritual law and the commandment of this realm. And so that is, in a sense, before it becomes, let us say, perverted or used to hurt people or keep them down, make them small, that is, in a sense, a positive influence. That is just to give one example of this. Well, the general thing, this often happens to people. You are built this way because it serves you well to notice problems, disharmonies, things that are out of order. That is, if you receive a wonderfully prepared meal and there's a dead fly on the plate, it's the dead fly you notice. It's not the lovely meal surrounding it. And the dead fly actually ruins the entire meal. And this goes very much for anything. If you notice a blotch in a beautiful painting, it's the blotch that comes forward. If you notice something very unpleasant about, well, an organization, such as the church, for instance, it is this that comes forward. But these complex phenomenon, they have many influences and many effects. And so you could also say that your governments in many ways also serve to keep you constrained in some sense, but at the same time, they also serve to make sure that, well, things such as central heating or having a system of roads and public transportation, all these things that also healthcare that make up a safety net around the person is also something that's offered. And so with most phenomenon, there is a negative and a positive consequence. And the thing for you in your personal reality is to discern, is this something that I want to engage with that's serving me? Is it something that I want to actively combat because I believe it to be negative and harmful? And can I do this in a way where I'm then offering people a better positive? Because there are always better positives to be had. And all these structures, they tend to serve their purpose, and then they grow stale and they still hang around, and then they become very constrictive forces that you need to figure out how you dismantle. And the best way to dismantle it is also to then integrate the things that were positive about it into something new, and to allow the things that are not serving people anymore to belong to the past and move away as a lesson that has fulfilled its purpose. We hope this makes sense. And I bring you my protective energy in this calling of your soul.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you. Okay, before I pass on to Steve next, there's a comment here. It's an observation, well, from Mandy Sullivan, who states that I recently received a healing with light language. I just wanted to send gratitude to the angelic realms. I have benefited from this healing ever since.
We are very happy, and know that we are, in a sense, always transmitting our light language to you. And so we are grateful that you have opened up to it. And that goes for you personally, Mandy, but it goes for all of you present. We are very grateful that you open up to these light codes flowing in. And thank you for that prayer, because it is, in a sense, a prayer when you express your gratitude to the light that flows in to your life. Our love.
Yes, that's a very beautiful thing to say. Okay, Steve, go ahead, mate.
Hi, it's very great to hear other people experiencing some of these similar things that I've been going through. I'm wondering if you could give suggestions or the proper method of how to send these energies to the mountain, like we were talking about, or to the universe. And also, the reason I'm asking is because it seems my subconscious seems to get reversed against my will, and so I have problems if I think about something too much. It comes back on me. Can you also give any tips on reprogramming subconscious to stay in my own will in this physical body in this time zone?
Yes, you raise a good question, because the subconscious is, in a sense, also a balancing force of the psyche. that is the mental component of the human being, is constantly focused in one part of it, and there is another part of it that then is not allowed to be a part of the identity or the self-image. And so why it is disturbing you so much is exactly because it's stirring you open. So it's trying to open up this central channel that isn't really it's not a greater gripping. That is, you may sense what's keeping this subconscious away from you, or what was keeping it away from you was a type of gripping of your mind body state, which is very helpful because you need to live your life. And this grip has sort of receded. And instead of thinking that you will move into a place where you will have better control of this or be more able to it, then know that what is being offered, what's going on, is actually a radical opening. So in many ways, these subconscious things are the things that are prying open your grip and allowing for your open hands to receive. And here you may sense that there is a spaciousness that this content is pouring into. So it wouldn't be able to arise unless it had let's say, a smoother or undisturbed surface of consciousness where it could arise into. And that is, if you, again, taking this image of the church, if you look at the background rather than the problem, but you look at the background on which the problem is unfolding, there you will see that there is a great spaciousness to your being. And this, in a sense, this spaciousness, it's collected, it's gathered, it's held together by the sacred cord. The sacred cord is, in a sense, physically your spine, but it is an energetic line that runs from, well, the center of the universe and the center of the galaxy, and through all these sacred centers into the sacred centers of your physical being. And then it binds you and keeps you also grounded to the body. So if you can see this central channel of light, what is sometimes known as the sushumna, this great channel expanding within you, and you can allow for the subconscious content to move into that stream of light and then be flooded into the spaces where it needs to actually move, we can say, with the flow of this light. There, this process will begin to clear out some of this content, and you will find this spaciousness growing within you.
Wow, it's pretty intense, seeing as all of the distractions going on in the foreground make it hard to see the background. Is that the right method of sending energies to the mountain, or is there any other visualizations or heart-centered method, or any other method of sending the energies?
Yes, we can say, rather than sending the energies, rather bring the mountain to you. You may know the saying that if Muhammad doesn't want to come to the mountain, then the mountain must go to Muhammad. And essentially, you must make the mountain go to you. And so you can do this is in any seated position, but it's most helpful in different cross-legged positions, and of course expressed in the lotus pose, for instance. But this is indeed the structure of the mountains. This is the broad base touching the ground, and focus on all these spots, all these surfaces where the bottom of your body, the broad bottom of your body, is touching the ground. And then see how this energy is actually, it is not an energy of you, but it's the cosmic energy of the earth that's arising and connecting up through you, up through to these invisible realms.
Wow, great. Thank you so much. I'll put that into practice.
Our love to you.
Thank you. Arson, go ahead, mate.
Yeah, I also had a question about just the energies. Yeah, I've been receiving a lot these days, and feels like when I am in a lot of pain, I'm able to allow a lot more in, and it feels like the pain subsides for a while. Can you elaborate a bit on what's happening during that phase? Like, is it like just basically dissolving the pain in a sense? Thank you.
It's very helpful that you bring forward this question at this moment, also in relation to what we were guiding Steve to do. That is this subconscious content, these things that are flowing in, they're flowing in to be seen. And this is very much what many of you have been experiencing, these skeletons pouring out of the closet, these emotional, unwanted things. But you are discerning very correctly. And you may want to take note of this also, because it speaks to we can say, a high level of sophistication in your ability to discern what's going on. Because what you are moving into or pointing to is also that, well, the pain is actually, it's actually the secondary. It's the result or the consequence rather than it's the cause, because the cause is the energy flowing in. But as energy flows in, it moves up into all the emotional, physical, and energetic impediments that reside in your bodies. And this is indeed why traditional spiritual systems tend to open these energy processes, this process in, for instance, a monastic setting where you are cleared out and not as perturbed by the world. Because what's happening is indeed that this energy is slowly dissolving the pain, and it does so by also pushing it forward, and that's very unpleasant. But this slight release is actually, we can say, the true process. This is the ascension as it moves into you. And again, this is the most subtle of these energies. So it's what resides in the background. It's almost the frame around the painting. And yet this is really what is going on.
Yeah, thank you. Is there a way to just have the pain dissolve and not have it like manifest?
This is very interesting, because of course we can say from our perspective, yes, you can just jump to another timeline, but we are also aware that, well, the way that you are structured, it is that you like these conflicts. You actually like the gratification of achievement. And what greater achievement that to overcome something internal that you have been carrying around and that's bothering you. And so the way to move forward, we can say, to quickly shed these pains, is to step out of the way of the process. And that is in many ways to address it either physically or energetically. So the energetic works, we are partially undertaking this by these energy transmissions. Also, we can say partially we are transmitting some release embedded within these messages that are not verbal or strictly verbal. So that is an effect. Other energetic stuff could be, for instance, focusing on your breath or attending to your water, different practices you may move into. Then there is the process of your body that is allowing yourself to stretch, to release, or to exercise and move some of those parts where stagnant energy may have moved about. And then with the mind, allow your mind to not go haywire with the analytical. That is, this is a helpful place to step into the modality you know as faith. Have trust that something is going on, something is ordering your reality, that the mind cannot keep order of and does not need to keep order of, but instead just need to take the cues from and then adjust accordingly.
Thank you. That will be very useful. I'll try to implement it.
Thank you.
Okay, the next one is from Suzanne. Hi, Archangel Michael. Can you give us an idea about the changes coming up for America? And should I be investing in silver, for example? And I'd like to add an addendum to that. If you could also include the world after that, I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Yes. Well, we would like to illustrate this example of the silver by moving you into a different scenario. So that is, notice that your investment in silver, well, you will either have to keep the silver physically, where you will be in a situation where you will either have to convert it into currency or you will have to barter with it. There is also, of course, the situation where the silver is an investment object and you simply hold options in it. But this will also then rely on a system being so stable and advanced in its mode of economic exchange that you can just as easy invest in other objects. And you may sense what will become valuable to you are, of course, scarce resources. And so you may sense also that, speaking both to Suzanne, but offering general advice on where you want to place your investments or assessment of value, it is rather in resources that have practical utility. And here would be more useful, for instance, to invest in something such as cobalt, we are sensing. This doesn't have the allure of course, other more noble metals, but these are actually the resources that, well, there will be a certain panic or frenzy about. What we are sensing going on in this policy of the United States of America is a type of evening out for now. That is, there is a certain degree of animosity or energies of strife that have built within this collective, and they are moving into a place of stillness before the storm, we are sensing. So in the coming 4 months, you will sense that not much is happening, but a sense of discontent, of unease may be growing in the collective. And then in the month of April, we are moving towards the end of the month of April. We are barred from describing exactly what will happen, but we can say, well, tell you to anticipate a certain, let's say, upset in the social structures. Do not fear for your life. Do not fear to go hungry, and do not fear that you will not be able to keep a certain set of basic comforts that you have grown used to in modern living. That is the advice we can give on America. Then we can also say with the world, well, the world is growing at this moment more disparate in its developments. That is, these different unities or policies, they are going in different directions and exploring different ways of dealing with this crisis. But what you may sense will happen is that a greater degree of openness will be reintroduced, or rather it will be forced partially from, let's say, what's sometimes known as the will of the people, or the masses rising up, or this general voice of the common man to have more influence on the societal structures. But you will also sense that there will be economic pressures that will grow in this year relating to that upset we were speaking, and that may provoke a higher degree of openness in order to incentivize some economies to reboot and restart. These are some of the developments, but what you are seeing is also that aging policies, structures of government that are very inflexible, will begin to crumble more and more. They are already showing signs of weakness, and look for these signs of weakness, because they will begin to grow in the coming decade. And we can assure you that you are not heading into an apocalypse, but that, of course, social upheaval often seems not too pleasant when you look at it in the short run, but that, well, greater changes also need to take place for greater things to unfold. Our love to all of humanity. Yes, sorry, Sailesh.
Thank you, thank you. Okay, now a question from myself here. Okay, I would like you to scan all my bodies and see where, if you can sense where there are any blockages and what it is I need to do to transform them, especially regarding the chakras and the Kundalini.
Yes. Well, partially we are sensing that there is a type of, this is a knot, it's a universal knot in that it resides in most people's physical body, but a tension in the back of the skull. And how you may want to address this is by, well, imagine yourself to be breathing through a trunk. So it's actually this idea that if you're breathing not as much through nostrils from below, of course they are situated at the bottom of this triangular structure, but that you are breathing more directly in and all the way back, and you are breathing from not in the immediate vicinity of your nose, but all the way out there where your trunk is extending. So you may feel like you are taking in this vast expanse of air and moving it into the back of your skull. So this is essentially where we sense the primary block in your physical body is situated, and how you may address it. Your Kundalini is very active in the navel area. It has cleared up much in this, and it's rising and it's pressing up against the solar plexus and the heart center. So it's essentially these two centers that where the main blocks are residing from you, and where you may sense that there is maybe some type of pressure or tension sometimes moving forward, announcing itself. Here, you may want to, with the solar plexus, engage in slight tapping. That is simply with these two fingers tapping on this. And with the heart, you may want to rub your heart in circles with the palm of your hand. And you can do this in both directions. And it's quite helpful if you do 3 circles in one direction and 3 circles in the other. Then in your energy body, we sense a lot has been going on with your guides reconfiguring this. That is, we get the idea that there's almost a type of program that's been written and that's surrounding you, and that's pushing itself into your physical experience. And so you may actually sense that there's a great deal of clarity, or that you have moved quite far in this process of economizing, of shedding the things that you didn't want to deal with and focusing on the things that you wanted to. And we can say percentage-wise, we sense that your Kundalini and the overall activity of your body is approximately at 76%.
Oh yes, I do feel a lot of pressure, solar plexus, and have this beautiful Ganesh bloated stomach, which appeared out of nowhere 3 years ago. And yes, I've been doing a lot of internal work, a lot. And I can see a lot of things clearly. I can see, when I see 2 people arguing, especially in the family, I can see both, I can tell that both of them are absolutely correct in what they're saying. Neither of them are right or wrong. But the problem is, when I do stick my oar in there, they seem to take it the wrong way. So I have to hold back nowadays, because both of them cannot be right in this duality. So it's a lesson I'm learning and going through. I thank you.
And we would like to, well, partially thank you for sharing that example, but also use it as an illustration, because this, what you are experiencing, is essentially 5D consciousness. It's the energetic dynamism, it's the unity behind the situation where the both of them are perfectly right, and there's a perfection to that situation, but the link is still being established, because of course the 5D is already here, and so many of you have connection to it, but it's still trying to merge with the 4D. And here you may find these challenges that, well, it requires quite a lot of patience for this understanding to move into time. And even though you have that understanding, people may not be receptive to it before they actually are. And that's why that conflict still needs to unfold in the 4D. So it's a very beautiful example. Then another thing I would like to communicate to you is also that this beautiful bloated stomach, you may sense that you have actually allowed Ganesha to somewhat take possession of you. That is to merge a lot of his energy with your physical energy. And that's also something that happens at a stage where you have sort of moved through a lot of your karmic issues, and you are at this stage of free choice, and you would like to also offer some healing energy, anchoring them into the world. And so there is often a patron deity or energy, a vibrational spectrum, in your case, for instance, of this wisdom of allowance, that then embodies itself in you. And it might be a little frustrating with the physical changes, but you are doing a great service to the world.
Thank you. Okay. Just like to remind Mads that we're 90 minutes into this session. I have got 2 more questions that I can see on YouTube. How are you? How is he feeling?
He is feeling quite well. And then he is also remembering, he is telling us that there was a question he didn't include, so he will also bring that forward, because maybe it didn't make it into the Zoom chat. But he is up for it. He is announcing us.
Yes, I know the one. Please go for it, Mads.
Yes, wonderful. Okay, I just opened the eyes because I didn't hear it. So now it's me again, guys. I'll just shoot this. So Sophia asks, any tips on how to summon healing energies to heal ourselves when we are feeling unwell? I felt that, for example, when I had a fever, I couldn't quite summon up healing energies as usual. And then a second question, which is surprise, surprise, this day's theme, personal message and transmission from me. Thank you.
Yeah.
So yes, you may sense in this disease, well, the first thing you do is that you move into the acknowledgement that there is a lesson within this, that the disease is a part of a movement towards equilibrium. And it might be, well, either a symptom of your body already curing itself, or it may be a sign that there is something to undertake. But the first thing is you do is that you actually accept the negative presence of the fever, for instance, as something that's, we could call it a dark healer, something that allows for you to have this experience, or to clear this out, to shed it by having this experience of imbalance, of unpleasantness. And so you can actually approach the fever as a type of entity, of a type of healing spirit that's there with you. And there you can offer, say, all this unpleasantness. For instance, often when you have a fever, you also feel congested, nauseous, so forth and so on. And you can gather them in the sense of all these composites in that fever, and then ask it, what do you want to teach me here? What do I need to do in this case before I feel well again? And by doing this, you might get the impulse that, well, I want you to, the fever may announce itself that I would like you to eat some ginger, or right now you should simply spend 4 hours on the couch watching television, or because sometimes it actually moves into spare you from a greater upset. And so this is the message that we are also transmitting to you personally. That is, you may notice that the negativity that enters into your life, and this is not often not of a very harsh negative quality, and it often moves into also spare you a little from, we can say, the rapid pace of development that might otherwise tear you apart. And so the more you can take the heavy energies, the earthy energies, the sleepy energies, the deadened energies, the wooden energies, these more shadow layers, and realize that these are also something that in many ways are, we can say, adding shadow to your painting and allowing for greater depth in it, the happier you will also be in, and the more you will see that you are exactly where you need to be in this, and that it couldn't move forward in any other way without you not being able to keep up with your spirit, so to speak. Our blessings and love to you in this.
Okay, so it's 3 questions from YouTube. Are you okay to go for them, Meds?
Yes, certainly.
Okay. Oops, forgive me. I've been bombarded over here, so we just go for the next 3 because there's lots of questions coming in. Okay, this is from Alexis Water 23. Hi, Archangel Michael. Someone's been desperately trying to tell me something for a long time, but have been unable to do so. I need to help them. And my birth year is 94. Thank you. And I'm sorry if I have messed up anything.
Yes. Don't be sorry, dear one. Nothing is ever messed up from our perspective. There isn't too much clutter in our perspective of the world, but try to step away from this perspective of needing to help someone. That is, you may also recognize that you are quite young, especially seen from the perspective of these generations of humans who will grow to be much older than previous generations. And so tend to your own process in this. That is, allow yourself to focus on what it is you need to hear from yourself and from your immediate realities. And then these things that are coming in, that you may feel that someone desperately wants to reach you and may want to really need your help. Well, you will be instrumental in offering what you need to offer in that situation. But often there is also a lesson for everybody in the fact that other people can support you. They can, well, assist you in many ways. But in the end, it's always help to self-help. And it's really this self-help that's the greatest help that you can offer someone. And sometimes that also means to acknowledge some limitations around your own capacity to offer or set right what may be wrong in others' lives. And this is what we offer to you in this, as we also bless you for the beautiful sentiment and assure you that you have not messed up. Our love.
Okay, thank you. Okay, with the next one, I just have to be a bit careful about the wording. It's by Mandy Sullivan. She says, I have a strange question about the jab I had last February, and I've been finding myself afraid that it has exposed me to more negative agendas. Is there any truth to this?
Well, not as such. That is, well, that's both a yes and a no. What you may experience and what we have been announcing, what so many entities have been announcing, is that this whole situation around the virus, and it has been a type of awakening experience. That is, it has prodded you to literally to make a choice about what realities you wanted to participate in. And what has happened with some of these mRNA influences that you have experienced in many of your vaccines is that they have opened up a higher degree of energetic volatility within the human body. This means that you have become slightly more exposed both to negative and to positive vibrational spectrums, but you are, let's say, more easier to influence in that sense. And this means that it becomes even more pertinent, important for you to choose what you want to focus on. And do not fear that you are exposed to negative influences, but recognize when you feel that negative influences are present, that you may want to really actively deselect this influence and move towards, let's say, a flow of information that's more conducive to you feeling as empowered and healthy in your being.
Okay, and last question from YouTube is from Veritas, our friend again. Dear Archangel Michael, the grid-like images in the pictures I have been taking of the sun and the clouds recently, am I literally viewing the crystalline grid, or are they just camera anomalies?
Well, it's an interplay between several things. So what you will discover in many years from now, when you go back and look at pictures from the 1800s, for instance, is that there are actually things being recorded that are invisible to the present human eye, but that you will discern. So, for instance, what some people can already do is when they see a picture of a person who is long deceased, they can still sense the aura of this person just by looking at the picture. And what you are sensing is this deeper harmony that underlies reality. But if you were to show it to someone else that didn't have this perception, you may sense that they might say that this is just reflection in the camera. You are getting this sense of it, but also know that there is even this energetic grid has a lot of structures and components to it that cannot be discerned with either present day human instruments or present day human sense faculties. But you are picking up on this web of life, and you may want to go further down that line of exploration. Blessings to you.
Okay, I think we've exhausted all the questions now. And now, do you have any closing messages for us? We would appreciate any whatsoever. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, dear Sailesh. We will transmit this code embedded within light language, this healing transmission. It is an encouragement and an incentive for you to localize. And so in your dreams, in these coming 3 nights, you may sense that messages are coming in and that you awaken feeling a little more like yourself in the morning. Ikalal alakalulal alakalulal alaka. Ingalalualam balianang ginanang walian lalualang ginanuagang gitukala kuahang kilualang gi umbalias tualang kendualualang maniawange in lengida luanda kenduas tenkiwai velueliwame in ingiwame nawanang gendiangelia luale kendia imbel olal ak ining alu akindual ungele. And so, placed on a surface of being, looking up at the infinite reaches of the stars, you find yourself at a loss for places to grip, to hold, and to find your balance. This is spiritual vertigo. You are allowing yourself to feel this instability, to find a new footing in a new and richer way of standing, where all of you is active and yet relaxed, balanced on the ground and stretched towards the sky. From the heavens, the Archangel Michael, with the wisdom and love of the heavenly hosts, I bless you. I transmit the undying love of the heavens, and I thank you for what has taken place this day. Peace.
Oh, thank you very much indeed. That was beautiful. Fantastic session. So much to learn.
Thank you, Thank you, Sailesh. I really thought it was a beautiful one. And so I know a broken record here, but it's just so amazing that there are so many themes in the questions that come up from different people. So may we all find where we are on the map this day. Messages future, live streams in January. There's one with the Solons, the 20th, a Thursday, and there will be one with an entity, I don't know, the 30th, a Sunday. And then next Sunday, the 16th, patrons from the top tiers will get together and have a private live stream over there, and you can transmit questions if you can't make it. So that's, I think, it's the practical messages. And other than that, I just wanted to say thank you for a beautiful first live stream of 2022, and especially to you, Sailesh, for excellent moderation and everything. So much love to you guys, and enjoy what's left of your Sunday.
Thank you. Much love.
Thank you. Much love to you all.